Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Call of Duty Modern Warfare video. In today's video we have some very important stuff to talk about, including leaks that the mini-map will be returning to normal, as well as some actual official posts by workers at Infinity Ward talking about spawn updates, claymore updates, and different things that are going to be updated into this game. And then we're also going to go later into the video to talk about community feedback, where you guys can leave in the comment section down below some stuff that you guys want updated, and I'll talk about what, in general, a lot of people in the community have been talking about as of right now. A lot of people, of course, are hating on the maps in this game, but we already have a lot of leaked maps, and I think future maps that are going to be coming are from previous Infinity Ward games, so I think that will really shake up the game and help with the map situation for people that are struggling or really just don't enjoy the flow of these maps, because they really are designed for, the flow of these maps are just completely different from past flows in Call of Duty. These are much more stationary, window peeking sort of maps, I guess you could say. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about all this stuff. Drop a like on this video if you guys could. Let's go for 682 likes. If you could hit that, that'd be amazing. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and not already subscribed. We're up over 960,000 subscribers on the road to 1 million, so really appreciate everyone new subscribing. Drop a like and let's go ahead and get right into this. Now, the gaming revolution is a person who has been leaking a bunch of stuff in terms of Modern Warfare. This guy has been leaking stuff since way before a lot of the stuff in this game was even announced, back into probably Q1, Q2 2019, and he predicted a lot of the kill streaks that came into this game accurately. He predicted the gunfight mode accurately before it came out into this game, as well as he has a history of having very correct leaks in terms of Black Ops 3 zombies, IW zombies, and a bunch of leaks across different Call of Duty games. Now, I basically talked about some info that he put out, along with there was actual, not only was he saying this info, but there was actually sort of proof or different things, some images or different game files for maps that we're going to be coming to this game in the future, and I talked about that in a video the other day. But he has now just made another post, and this has got the community stirring up. Charlie Intel, which is probably the most credible blog, made a report on this, talking about this, saying rumor that the mini-map returning to normal later in November, a big overhaul to Modern Warfare reportedly coming. So this was all leaked coming from the Gaming Revolution, and this is basically what it was. He tweeted out saying mini-map will be returning to normal by end of November, and there's a big overhaul coming. Now, what does he mean by mini-map will be returning to normal? Basically, in all of the previous Call of Duty games, the way that the mini-map worked is that if you shot your gun, you're popping up with a red dot as long as you're firing your weapon in Call of Duty. Now, in this game, if you shoot your gun, you're not popping up. Well, in other Call of Duty games, if you had a suppressor, that was the one way to stay off of the mini-map. With silencer, then when you shoot, it wouldn't pop up. Now, in this game, that's not the case. If you shoot, you're not popping up on the mini-map. There is the compass up at the top. However, that is a completely different sort of aspect. That's more of a battle royale thing where compasses has been, and a lot of people are getting really mad about how the minimap works in this game. I find it frustrating as well myself. When usually you're used to when you hear someone shooting, you don't really know where they're at. You glance over to that minimap and you can locate them. It's sort of a habit that I sort of had to unlearn in this game because I found myself in the beta doing it over and over and over, being like, wow, this is completely different from normal COD, and that's what people mean by they want it returned to normal. They want it so that if you shoot, a red dot will pop up on the minimap, and that, of course, that would make the suppressor probably a lot more useful, because right now the suppressor just sort of suppresses your gun sounds instead of actually giving you a practical use like that for keeping you off of the minimap. So this was reported by the Gaming Revolution. Now, this is a guy that is super credible with his leaks. However, there's no really proof as far as this. It's just, I'm sure he has some sort of insider information and he's making this post. Now, he wouldn't make this post, I don't think, unless he had some actual information, because this guy, like I said, he's a leaker that's been leaking for years. His reputation matters. If this doesn't come true, of course, people are going to, keep talking about this, and leaks that he comes out with in the future are going to be having to take in with a complete grain of salt, I guess you could say. Now, on the other hand of that, personally, I'm inclined to believe that this is true and that he does have some sort of info that there is some overhaul coming by the end of November, and that the minimap should be flipping the switch, as they call it, and returning to normal. However, there's a chance that this doesn't come true, or there's a chance that Infinity Ward changes their mind. I mean, look how many times they've already changed their mind on a bunch of different things going back and forth. They were going to have supply drops in this game, and then they canceled all of that. They were, you know, the mini-map, they went back and forth on even having the mini-map in the beta, and now it's on whether or not the red dots will pop up. A lot of stuff changes. So just because this is leaked, and I believe it to be true information, and it seems like most of the community does as well because it's coming from a credible source, things could be changed, but I think this is a really big deal, and I think this should be the way it is. Honestly, the way it is right now, it's straight up, it just helps campers out. That's all it does, really. It just helps campers out because you won't be able to locate where people are at or where, you know, to rush them, and it makes people play a lot slower. I think that this will be a really good change, and I'm hoping that this does come out with the overhaul at some point in November. Once again, that is more of, we don't have any definitive proof for that, but for other stuff that we actually have been reported on from Infinity Ward, and I do believe this will come true, but we're gonna have to wait and see for more info. Joe Secott from Infinity Ward. Joe Secott is basically, let me click on his bio here. He's the co-design director of multiplayer at Infinity Ward. I want to make sure I got it completely correct. And he tweeted out this on October 28th, a couple days ago. He says that it's absolutely amazing to have this game out and that the feedback is overwhelming. Some, but not all of the things they're looking at are footstep audio, Claymore interaction and feedback, player battle chatter in one life modes, and spawns. Now this is really interesting to me because this is coming directly from the source now. We're getting it straight from Infinity Ward. So these things are probably all going to be changed, and this makes me very happy. Number one, footstep audio. This is just like the minimap. It's not like they basically did a complete attack on rushers this year. They have some things that are nice for rushing. Some of the SMGs are pretty cool. The specialist is pretty cool. I like how they still have stim or quick fix. But you know, this game is definitely favors to more defensive or campy playstyle compared to other games like maybe Modern Warfare 3 that favored more of like a rushing playstyle. Or I think Modern Warfare 3 you could really play it any way you wanted, but that game was super duper fun to rush in just because of how the maps were designed, how the weapons were with the SMGs being so strong, and how the specialist bonus was just ridiculously good. Probably better than it was in Ghost and better than it was in this game as well. So footstep audio. Thing about this is I really they need to do something about this. Now they're looking into it. Whether this means they're going to add dead silence as a perk, whether they're going to rework the dead silence field upgrade, just lower the overall footstep audio, I'm not sure, but this is a good sign because I think this should be changed at some point. Make it to where all playstyles are available, because right now you can't, if you're running at someone, you just have to hope they don't have headphones or don't have AirPods in, because if they do, you basically get screwed, and that's just how the way it works. Next is Claymore interaction and feedback. I think we all know on this one, Claymores are stupid overpowered in this game. It seems like they made it like that way on purpose. I don't know though. How are they going to change the interaction and feedback? Probably they'll just make the blast radius a little bit smaller. I think that's what we'll get probably in one of these November patches. Next is the player battle chatter in one life modes. Now I don't really know too much about that. I think it's something to do with, of course, search and destroy and how the microphones work with that. I know a lot of people that made like trolling videos or like to listen to people in the lobby that they've been having some issues with that or something. So I guess that will fix it. Maybe I'm completely off on that. I honestly don't really know. You could let me know in the comment section down below. But next he says spawns, and this one really sticks out to me as well because thank you. I think that the spawns in this game are pretty bad, but they're not bad in the terms of you think, oh, spawns are bad. This guy just spawns next to me and he shoots me in the back. This is ridiculous. I think the spawns are bad because on these big ass maps, sometimes they'll spawn you way at the back behind like 8 barns back there when the whole map is available. They could easily spawn you on the side a little bit further up, and I hope that's something they will address with these spawns. I really am hoping that, but I'm just glad that Infinity Ward is looking into these things, and I honestly am kind of surprised that the game's been out for pretty much a week now, and we've gotten some updates to fix bugs and different things like that. And those things, by the way, if you're worried about any bugs or glitches, that's stuff that they're just working on literally constantly throughout the year. So I'm sure all that stuff will be patched. I mean, you gotta hope it will be. That's sort of their job to do that. But spawns, I really think spawns could be changed, and it could maybe speed up the gameplay a little bit of this game, or just change it so it's not so much of a running simulator on certain maps. I think that could be really amazing. Other people, in Ground War, the way the spawns work is very interesting also because of you picking your spawn, spawning on teammates or your squad members. That is a little bit more interesting as well. So we'll have to wait and see what they do with updating these spawns. Of course, usually when they update spawns, it's not like in the patch notes, hey, we fixed this, spawns are better now and people are faster paced. They won't really tell us. They'll probably just say spawn spawns updated or on 10 maps or whatever the heck they say, and then we have to sort of figure it out, but I hope it will help gameplay. And then next, I want to talk a bit more about what the community is literally talking about the most in this game and what they want to see updated. Of course, the stuff that I just talked about, the mini-map, a lot of people are really hyped about that leak and hoping that one comes true very soon. A lot of people are very excited about this post that Joe COD made, which I myself am included in both these. And then I want to talk a bit more about what the community is wanting, because a lot of the community is, tweeting at Infinity Ward, tweeting at Activision, Call of Duty, all the developers, saying different things they want changed. And my buddy EarsXBL, who is another YouTuber, a great guy, he made a pretty cool tweet here, which I thought would be nice to talk about in this video. And he talked about 7 different things that he sort of wants changed, I guess you could say, and that I don't know if it's stuff that he wants directly changed or that it's stuff that he sees, he agrees with that the community is talking about. I think that a lot of the community agrees about, and that's why I thought it'd be nice to talk about this. So shout out to my buddy Ears. Number 1, he says to make Dead Silence a perk in the 2nd slot. This is interesting to me, and a lot of people are talking about this. This is also a really good point. I was talking about it to my buddy Swag earlier too, and he was saying that Modern Warfare 3 Specialist, that was the thing we all loved, and that the ability to have Dead Silence off that and SitRep Pro was such a big aspect of it, which he was completely accurate. The more I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, that is completely accurate. The ability to have SitRep Pro and sound whore people while also being silent was just so awesome in that Modern Warfare 3 Specialist. You also got all perks and proficiencies, I believe. So make Dead Silence a perk in the 2nd slot. This is an interesting thing, and the 2nd slot is one that's pretty competitive. However, I would see that if it was in the 2nd slot and the footsteps volume was remain the same, pretty much everyone would just switch to Dead Silence instantly, and the noobs that weren't running Dead Silence would just be absolutely destroyed, because it would be silent to other people that basically sound like literal elephants stomping through buildings and other things like that. I think that they need to do something in terms of making Dead Silence, whether it's upgrading the field upgrade, putting in the 2nd perk slot. I think that's an interesting idea. I highly doubt they do that. I don't think Call of Duty's ever really messed with their perks in terms of like adding a new one after release. But I mean, we're in 2019. They can kind of do anything. I think more likely they'll go into messing with the field upgrade or making that better somehow. Number 2, actually, he says to reduce footstep audio slightly. So I guess he's on the same page as me with this. I agree with that then, definitely. Reducing the footstep audio slightly, no matter what they do, that's probably a good move overall, so that you can actually feel confident running. If you're running and you're within like 30 feet of people nowadays, you just gotta hope they don't have their headset on. That's really all you gotta do, and then you can sort of crouch walk and hope they can hear you a little less when you're crouch walking, but it makes playstyle more. You can't be a full-on real rusher like you could in other previous CODs. Rushing in this game is tactical rushing instead of just straight up rushing. And I think maybe if these changes were to come true, this is of course stuff that the community wants. Who knows if they'll address this, but this is bringing a lot of feedback on Reddit, Twitter specifically, and YouTube, and across pretty much all internet platforms. Number 3, reduce headshot multiplier on assault rifles. This is another interesting thing. The headshot multiplier seems to be fairly high in this game, where if you get hit in the head, you're just going to lose that gunfight. And this is cool for people, if you're shooting people in the head and picking people off of head glitches, that is very nice. However, a lot of the times when people just hit headshots, it can be, I guess you could say the majority of the time, I don't know, is the majority of the time that people hit headshots because they're actually aiming for the head and being accurate, or is it just sometimes because people get lucky? It is kind of annoying when people get that lucky random headshot and the multiplier is just so quick, you have sort of no chance to react, because that not only is a multiplier strong in this game, it also coincides with the fact that the time to kill is very high in this game. So I think that could be an idea. I don't think that's really a game-breaking thing, but that could be an idea. Number 4, increase ADS speeds and speed to ready off sprint. Now, this is something that's interesting. A lot of people have different feedback on this as well, and this basically comes down to the attachment system in this game, where there's a lot of pros and cons. And at first, I was really against all the slowdowns that are on assault rifles, but then the more I started to use SMGs and realized, oh, I kind of see what the developers were going for with this, where the SMGs, you can, like my P90 class setup I uploaded the other day, you stack multiple things that allow you to get your gun up quick, and that's why I call it the get your gunny up quick class setup, your sprint to fire speed, your ADS speeds, and that sort of helps when, if you're using an assault rifle you want to be nice, you have to give up some of that stuff. It allows it there to be some sort of a balance. I don't know if it's a perfect balance, and yes, I agree, it is kind of annoying when you want to use an assault rifle and it is super duper slow. I guess that's just the way they want it to be in this game. This is another thing that I think maybe they could do some tweaks, but I kind of like how the gunsmith works so far. I really don't mind it too much. I do feel like movement speed, hitting movement speed is a little bit like, come on, man. Do you have to hit our movement speed? If you want to slow me down on my ADS or my aiming stability or that sort of stuff, I get that. But on these big maps, you want to slow down my movement speed. I don't really mess with that. I don't really think that will be changed though anyway, but it's just a cool thing to talk about. Next thing he says at number 5 is to increase strafing speeds for all weapon classes. Now this is interesting, and this sort of goes down into the number 4 as well, where strafing speeds are tough on ARs in this game, and I'm sure they're super duper tough on LMGs. I mean, that's just the way they want it to be designed. I use stock, or well, it's not called stock in this game, but whatever increases your aim walking movement speed, which is basically the equivalent of stock. I use it on almost all of my AR class setups in this game, and I believe this is accurate. It does still feel so damn slow compared to, you get like Stalker in Modern Warfare 3 with the ACR. You feel like you're sliding on ice back and forth strafing. It doesn't feel like that at all in this game. The one thing that I will say though is the SMGs, which I've been using more, they feel really, really quick in this game. They really do, and I think this is on purpose, where they want you to be rewarded more into your speeds for using SMGs and be punished more into your slowdowns if you want to use an LMG or an AR. Increasing strafing speeds for all weapon classes, I think this could be a good idea, just because I think it is a bit too slow, even with the stock. You shouldn't be putting stock on and still feeling sort of like a mix between a Scarecrow and a normal strafing speed from other CODs. I think that could be something they could definitely change, the strafing speeds on weapon classes, and that's something that they actually could change. Updating weapons is something that happens very, very consistently in pretty much all Call of Duty games, mostly Treyarch games. The Treyarch probably does the most weapon balancing, I would say, in total out of the history of CODs, especially coming off of Infinity Ward. I mean, you always point out like Modern Warfare 2, where they just never nerfed one-man army noob tubes. It's like that leaves such a sour taste in the fan base's mouth. But this is like a completely different Infinity Ward. You got to think now. I mean, that was literally 10 years ago, right? 2009 Modern Warfare 2, 2019 for Modern Warfare. Kind of weird how Modern Warfare 2 and then 10 years later Modern Warfare. It is kind of confusing, but if you're a fan of COD, you definitely get it. That's something that I think we will see a lot of weapon balance in this game, just because you kind of have to update your games consistently in 2019. That's just the way that pretty much all the other games are doing it, and I would assume they're going to do the similar things. Next, number 6, he says to reduce Claymore and land mine damage. Talked a bit about Claymores earlier, so we'll kind of skip over that. Number 7, he says red dots on the minimap, which of course we also talked about earlier, which was leaked and hopefully will be coming out unless something has changed with this, or unless this leak turns out to be false or whatever. Anyway, hopefully this update video did help you guys out. Some of the stuff you can definitely expect to see changed in this game, or that they are currently looking at. Spawns, definitely looking into that. Footstep audio, which please they need to make some updates to. Claymore interaction and feedback. Player battle chatter and one life modes. And then according to a credible leaker, the Gaming Revolution, Minimap will be returning to normal by the end of November, and that there's a big overhaul coming. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what this big overhaul is, assuming that's going to be your first couple of patch notes, which are almost always very, very big in Call of Duty games. And hopefully they end up sticking with changing the minimap back to normal, because they've gone through so many different phases of just trying to mess with it and a compass and taking it completely away and then putting it up but without the red dots. Hopefully they make it where you can actually have your red dots, just what we've enjoyed in Call of Duty for the past decade or so. It would be nice to have that classic feel. I understand making this game for more casual players and getting new people into it, with the fast time to kill, so more beginner players can get those first couple of kills, get into it. I understand all that stuff, but you want to leave some stuff for your hardcore fan base that we've been supporting the game for so long, and we love the minimap, how it worked. That's one thing you probably don't want to mess with. Don't mess with it if it ain't broke, and I really don't think it was broke. So hopefully we will see that update. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. Drop a like, subscribe. I'll catch you on the next one, and I'm out. Peace.